I was reading a chapter in this book by Robert Cialdini called Influence. And I came across this funny exchange where a surveyor walks up to a guy on the street. And the moment she starts asking him questions, he almost transforms. He sits up straighter, he gives her these polished, sophisticated answers, and you can literally see him sound like a better version of himself. Instead of being honest, he was trying to be impressive. Now, that chapter wasn't even about surveys, but it made me stop and I started thinking that if people behave like this in something as harmless as a street survey, then how reliable are those surveys we depend so much on in our marketing world? A lot of businesses, companies rely on these surveys, people chasing other people on the street, trying to get them to respond to these questionnaire and things like that. And we use this data for brand decisions. Big changes, bigger budget allocations happen because of these surveys. And the correspondents are not even true to themselves. We don't know how much they're lying, how much they are pretending to be someone that they are not. And I thought I'll just break this down in this video. But before I get deeper into these surveys and why they may or may not work and what's the alternative for us marketeers, let me just list down the type of surveys which are widely accepted. And there are three broad categories. First one is digital surveys, which is all your email surveys, the NPS forms, in-app pop-ups, long type form questionnaires that we send to our clients, customers. And then we have offline surveys, for example, mall intercepts, right? Those people who are chasing customers in the mall for surveys, store interviews, street surveys, retail exit interviews. And the third, which is way bigger than these two, is market research, which is your focus group, consumer panels, in-depth interviews. And these are everywhere, from FMCG to SaaS to D2C brand. And on paper, all of these are perfectly valid. Here's this nuance that we tend to ignore. All these methods, they assume one thing, that people answer honestly. And that's not how humans work. We are not neutral creatures sitting in a lab. We are driven by social dynamics. We want to look good. We want to avoid awkwardness. We want to impress the person asking the questions. We want to appear knowledgeable, responsible, sensible. Sometimes we try to be polite, and sometimes we just don't want to disappoint the person standing in front of us. And all of that, it quietly slips into our answers. Without us realizing, or maybe not, there are a lot of biases which come into play when people respond to these surveys. And I just want to talk about a few of these biases and how they impact the way people respond to your questions. This is the type of bias where people give the answer that makes them look good. Ask someone how often they exercise and you will hear 3 or 4 times a week with full confidence. And in reality, it was 2 Sundays ago. And the second one is memory bias, where we assume that people remember what they bought, how often they use something, or why they made any decision. But the brain compresses the repetitive behavior. Like, for example, ask someone which toothpaste brand they use and they will confidently say one name. Check their bathroom, or maybe not, and you will see a very different brand. In this particular bias, people behave differently when someone is watching, and it's especially true for face-to-face survey. Imagine this: a person with a clipboard is asking you some questions. You are not getting honesty. You are getting performance from that person. People adjust posture, tone, and answers just to avoid looking uninformed or rude. And the Cialdini example is the perfect case. The guy wasn't answering truthfully. He was trying to impress the person standing in front of him. Now, the environment where you ask the question also impacts the answer. A survey in a premium mall will make people claim they prefer high-end brands. The same people in a discount store will say they are very price conscious and practical. Well, the context can change the truth even though the person hasn't changed. And now this is a very common one as well, which is where you incentivize people to participate in a survey and you end up attracting the wrong crowd. Offer a $5 voucher for a survey and you will get a line of students even if your product is not for students at all. People then rush through the questions because they want the reward, not because they care about the survey. And this final bias can be a result of the flaw in the survey design, because the structure of the survey itself can distort the answers. If you put very satisfied as the first option, many people will click it just to move on, especially if the survey is long. And after question 8 or 9, people, they just start straight lining, which is clicking the same column all the way down just to get it over with. And what do we do after that? We try to fix the data. We average out responses, we remove outliers, we smooth the Likert scales, we segment by demographics, we tidy up contradictions. But the problem is that if the input is fundamentally biased, no amount of cleanup can make it accurate. It's like taking a blurry photo and then sharpening it. I mean, you can fix the edges, but the blur will stay. Now the good news is, there are better, more modern ways of doing surveys and market research. And I'm pretty sure a lot of senior marketers, experienced marketers, they already use these methods. But for the founders, new, evolving marketers and teams who are still relying heavily on traditional methods, let's walk through what actually works today. Now, before we jump into the new ways you can jump into market research, maybe hit the like button and subscribe if you don't want to miss out on my future videos. Ask last action instead of claim frequency. People lie about frequency, but they are usually accurate when it comes to knowing the last decision, last action that they performed. Last brand bought, last website they visited, last product they researched. Simple, clean, honest. Use contextual microsurveys. 1 or 2 questions triggered at the right moment. And these moments could be after purchase, after sign up, after an install, after refund, after support chat. Shorter surveys in the right context always produce better honesty than long surveys in the wrong context. Use behavior analytics, heat maps, funnel analysis, scroll patterns. That's where you find the truth, because no one can lie to a heat map. Replacing hypothetical questions with small experiments. I love this one, and most of you will relate to this one as well, because most of us, we have been through this. If you want to know if people will respond to the message, test it. If you want to know if they will pay the price, test it. And test what? Landing pages, A/B tests, feature toggles, price experiments. Because real behavior, it can beat imagined behavior any given day. Ask open-ended questions only during high-intent moments. After onboarding or right after the purchase, because that's where people are most honest, because the moment is fresh. Keep the identity separate from answers. This is not tricking people. We are just separating who from what. Because people usually open up when their identity isn't attached to every single response. Because anonymity is a superpower. So this brings me to a very important question. Can AI make this whole thing better? Can AI speed it up, reduce bias, or help us analyze more data? The simple answer is yes, but in a very specific, realistic way. There are 4 ways I recommend people can use AI to do better market research. The first one is that AI cleans dirty data. It can detect contradictions, speeding, straight lining, fake responses, and bot behavior. Because these responses, they come from people and bots who are not serious about the survey, they just want to get on with it. And with AI, we can filter out any unreliable data instantly. The second way is that AI can cluster open-ended responses. And this is a very powerful use case, to be honest, because instead of reading thousands of responses manually, AI can group them into themes, emotions, motivations. The third one is that AI can help with offline research as well. With AI vision, with computer vision, you can track footfalls, shelf engagement, dwell time, all without asking a single question. There are companies who have been doing these things, but with AI, things can be, first of all, scalable. Second, much faster. Third, automated. fully automated. And the fourth way AI improves research is because AI brings consistency to human-led interviews. AI, for example, can ensure neutral language, consistent follow-up, and also to prevent unconscious nudging. Since we are talking about market surveys, market research, we cannot not talk about something very exciting, which is digital twins, where you create a virtual version of your customer and test everything. But unless you have very deep behavioral data, this twin can be wildly inaccurate. Don't get me wrong. It can be very useful in some specific use cases, but I'll be careful with that. At least not treat it as the silver bullet that everyone thinks it is, because it relies heavily on the amount of data which most companies don't possess. So you will create another bias within this whole list of biases that we have been talking about. I tried to keep this video very short and concise, but there is more depth to this whole topic. So if you are interested, I have created a Google Doc which you can download. It's in the comments. The link is in the comments, because that's where it breaks down the different biases, modern survey frameworks that you can use, how AI fits into everything, and a curated list of tools and platforms and companies that you can use for your digital or offline research. So if you're a founder, marketer, or anyone who wants some help with designing a better research workflow, feel free to reach out to me. So I'll see you in our next video. Cheers and have a great day.